Hi everyone, I'd like to do a shout out to our sponsor, Baco Diagnostics. Early detection is the single most important factor in improving patient outcomes. The Baco Diagnostics team recognizes how impactful a podiatric physician can be and remains committed to supporting you in your role as the first line of defense in diagnosing conditions of the lower extremity. Thanks to the unwavering support of their clients, Baco Diagnostics has been able to give back to the podiatric community for 16 years by providing podiatric educational resources and advocating for the position. Baco Diagnostics, helping podiatric physicians keep America on its feet. If you have not yet had the opportunity to utilize Baco Diagnostics services, get started today by sending an email to corporaterelations@bacodiagnostics.com. The first 50 podiatry offices who request a starter kit will receive a Dean's Chat mug. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dean's Chat, where we discuss all things podiatric medicine. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Jensen. I'm the Dean at the Arizona College of Podiatric Medicine and the host for the Dean's Chat podcast. Once again, I'm with my co-host, Dr. Joanna Richey. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
I am doing fabulous. Life is good. Our new class is getting their sea legs for studying and taking their first exam, so all's good.
That's right. They've gotten through two big ones already, so we are well into it.
Absolutely. Well, we have a phenomenal guest today, Joe. One of my students when I was the dean in Miami at Barry University. Welcome to Dean's Chat, Dr. Sarah Haller.
Thanks for having me, you guys. It's a full circle over here.
It is kind of full circle. Dr. Haller, we're very informal on Dean's Chat. We kind of like to make it like we're sitting around having a cup of coffee or having a beer or something. So let's go first names, Sarah, Joe, and Jeff.
Love it. Makes it way better.
Sounds good. Well, I'll give you a little bit of a more formal introduction. So Sarah, you grew up in South Carolina, right? Was that correct?
The best state. State.
And you did your podiatric training at Barry University School of Podiatric Medicine. And then you went on to do your residency in New Jersey. And that's where you currently are in Hoboken at the Hoboken University Medical Center.
Correct.
From there, you chose to move to the Midwest and do a fellowship with the Weil Group, correct? And now You're back in Hoboken. You've done your stint on TV with My Feet Are Killing Me. We'll talk about that. And you're also an assistant director of the residency program that you were part of. So you're busy lady.
I got a lot going on. It's a beautiful thing. I love the fact that I'm back where it's like my alma mater. I know all the same nurses. It's the same floors that I walked as a resident. And it's cool to come full circle and now take over a position where I can educate them on the things that I learned.
That is full circle when you go from student to all of a sudden you're training students. And there you go. I mean, I always tell people that the most important segment of our practicing physicians are those that are involved in residencies, and they're training the next generation of surgeons. I mean, we do our best at the schools, right? We give them the foundation, but once they move on to residency, that's where the rubber really hits the road. So thank you.
I think it's imperative for everybody. I think everybody part of the training, I've seen it, right? You saw it too. And it's every little segment makes a difference.
Absolutely. So maybe we'll work backwards a little bit in your career. I mean, almost everybody that's watching this is going to say, hey, I know Dr. Haller. She was on My Feet Are Killing Me. Joe and I were talking about getting some background on that. How do you get involved in something like that where all of a sudden you turn on the TV at night and you're on TV representing our profession?
It was a surreal experience. So I was luckily, I went to residency with Brad. Brad was my co-resident. He was my senior. He was my chief resident. Tough. But that being said, yeah, we had a great relationship during residency. And I think after I went to fellowship, I came back with a lot more knowledge and tools and a different surgical expertise. And I think when he joined the original casting, it was him and Ebony. And when they pursued him about doing any kind of surgical intervention, it is intimidating, to be honest with you. And 4 cameras pointing on you while you're doing surgery. And I think he was in his 4th year, 5th year out. It would have been my 2nd year out, which is pretty surreal. He reached out to me to help him in cases and just like in surgical, conversations, just to make sure that we were doing the right thing, especially on camera for all these patients. And then they reached out to me after the first couple episodes. And they're like, you should be the 3rd doctor. And who's going to say no? No one's going to say no. Absolutely. Sign me up.
What an incredible opportunity. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love this story so much, Sarah, because this is the way life happens, right? It's kind of these random series of events that then you look back and they're not random. And I love what you highlighted there, because it's so intimidating to be in the public eye. And I can appreciate from Brad's perspective, you want to do the right thing and you want to show the right face, not just on the camera, but also off the camera. And so much of what we do, having good help, especially in the OR, helps everything run smoother. And so I think that was such a beautiful collaboration. I'd love to know some of the funny things that happen, like that maybe off camera, or fun experiences that maybe weren't directly caught on film that impacted you or had some, I don't know, kind of lasting memory.
I mean, I think it's amazing to just be like, I think I joke about it. It's like you're a doctor, right? Like you're an everyday doctor, but then when you're on TV, you're a TV personality. It's wild to think about that. And just like people are coming to you and like you're walking in the door and you're like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Howe." And they're like, "No, you're too excited. You have to be more solemn." I'm like, okay, great. Okay. So I need to, it's almost like being a fake doctor. It's the craziest experience. But it's so much fun because I think I'm really close with Brad. He and my husband are very, very close and we have a great relationship. But I think Brad and I got really close during that because these are, 14-hour days and you're filming from, your call time is 4:30 a.m. or whatever it might be. And then you're working until late night. And one night we got snowed in. I remember filming and like we couldn't get home. So Brad and I shared a hotel room, which was like, we got Reese's and we had like pizza, like Hot Pockets. And I'm like, I mean, this is life. This is glamorous. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're staying at the Ritz. You're filming in New York City." I'm like, "No, we're sitting at I don't even know, like a Holiday Inn and just like having Hot Pockets watching Christmas movies." It was great. So it's a beautiful experience.
Oh, I love that. And again, it was fun to start with something like that because there's so much of the real life that does get captured in some of these shows that is useful as a person that maybe doesn't know what podiatry is. Having the opportunity to watch it on something like a show gives a whole different perspective. And I'll tell a funny story because when I was a resident, I remember my in-laws would come and they would stay in the San Francisco area, and you get called in for something and they're like, "Oh, you do that. Oh, you do that. Oh, I didn't know podiatrists did that. Oh, you're on call again." Like the lack of understanding. But what's really funny, Sarah, is not until they watch your show that they're like, "I didn't know that you treated." And it's like, and I mean, why would they know? It's not like I come home and I tell everyone like my day by day, but it was so wonderful because there was suddenly a whole different perspective of like what I do. So anyway, I have my own little personal appreciation for your show and how it has impacted the community. So
it makes me feel better. I mean, Brad and I had this like whole like pivotal relationship together in the sense that we're like, are we impacting how people change their field of like what they view of podiatry? And I really hope so, right? I feel like I hope we made a difference. I hope we educated people that we have an amazing skill set and your neighborhood podiatrist is who you need to see for your foot and ankle injury.
Yeah. And I love that the show encapsulated clinical care, operative care, all of the different facets of what we do, because I think that is important. So again, I celebrate you guys in being willing to make yourself vulnerable, because it was cute when you said like, "Oh, like who wouldn't want to do that?" I know a lot of people that would not want to do that, myself being included. And even just being on a podcast has been like this, you have to really be intentional about how you want to show up, because people come and they know who you are, but like, I don't know them and I don't want to show up in a way that isn't representative of how I want to be as a human. So again, I can only imagine having television cameras. Like I just get to talk to you in a box today and then it goes out into the ether web. But so yeah, the social media part of that presence. I'll let Jeff ask another question. Otherwise I'll come back, Jeff, if you didn't have another one, but I'd love to get more of that kind of celebrity moment and how that has changed things.
Okay, I'll ask a sidebar comment. So Sarah, you said filming days were like 14 hours. What does the background look like? I mean, did you and Brad get together and say, okay, we want to get a patient with this pathology or that pathology? Or, do you know what I mean? Did you write scripts? What did that look like, the preparation for the actual film day?
Oh, that's a great, and I never really think about this. Like, people ask about the show all the time and I'm just like, oh yeah, like we just filmed. And they're like, okay, but I don't elaborate. That's a great question. So TLC, the actual, the company, they had an entire set of people who they had a casting call. It was an online casting call. And like, they were like, okay, if you have the weirdest feet in America, please respond to this. And people would send in pictures and videos and like all kinds of things. So then they pass it through us and we would get an email of like a list of these people, like, this is who we think we would like to have on the show. Do you approve this? And like, you're just looking at literally a blurb about this person, no medical history, and just a foot pic. It's the craziest experience. And you decide if you can help them or not. It was wild. Yes.
So out of how many hours of film did you have to condense it down to a half-hour show?
Yeah, I mean, like 14 hours of filming, and then you do something called green screen time, which is like they put you in front of a green screen, which is, like similar to this. And like they interview you, they go like you talk through the entire surgery again or the patient visit. And then they take those snippets and they put them overlying what you actually had in the office. Cause they may not like the audio, the audio that happened or whatever happened. It's crazy. Different world.
It's a whole process. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say different world. All right, Joe, you can go back to the celebrity part. I think that's cool too.
Yeah. So maybe a similar, I know you've had a social media presence that is your own, and then you've had part of the show being part of social media. It's been interesting talking to other, like Priya Parthasarathy with the APMA communication. Like, there is a whole level of that you just kind of got to get used to just being out there and being present. And she was funny. She was like, there's days that I show up to clinic and I know I don't look cute, but like, you know what? You just got to like embrace it. I'm not always going to be that way. This is me and who I am. That authenticity maybe is what I'm going for. How did that look like for you? And how did you come into being comfortable, or did you ever get comfortable with that authenticity?
That's a really good, and like I'm taking a break from social media right now because like mentally, like I see so many patients in a week and I'm like, I don't have time to tell people like what my surgery day looked like today. Today I was stacked and I'm like, I got up at 5, I sprinted to surgery. I did all my cases. I came to clinic. I see patients until 7. It's a long day. And I'm like, I want to go home and go to bed and then do it again tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's, so I think the authenticity of like that'd be great for social media because that's really what life is like, right? The stuff, I think like when I first came into the show, they want you to post and they want you to do the things. And I'm like, I was awkward. I was super awkward. I know I was. I'm still awkward. But I think it's just like I'm trying, right? It's like no one's perfect. Like I can't curate my life. I do what I do and I love what I do. It might not be perfect and it might not be the cutest selfie or whatever it might be, but that's what I have to offer. And that's all I can really contribute my time to. I want to make sure that I create a meaningful conversation with the people that I have and that I guess I can help. A lot of students reach out to me on that, a lot of residents, and it's, they want to get involved in social media and I would love to help in any way, shape or form that I can. But it is hard to balance. It's like, that's again, 2 different lives.
Yeah. No, and I think your selfies are adorable. So, it's also funny, the judgments that we put on ourselves and like what I look at when I watch, and in fact, I had to stop watching our podcast, Jeff, because I can't handle watching myself on video. I'll listen, but I can't handle the watching part because all of this, like I'm just, we all have our little things that we notice. So I appreciate hearing other people because I don't think you look or act awkward at all. So, but maybe it's because I feel awkward and so I don't feel that from you.
Well, I appreciate it. I think it's cool. Like you get to know people, even if it's in a box, but it's like you look at that person, you're like, man, this person does a ton of podcasts and like she makes time for this every week. Like, how do you know what I mean? Like you look at somebody else, and you're like, wow, they're capable of so much more than I'm capable of. And you're like, that's amazing. I hope I can do that, So you're crushing
the inspiration part. So thank you.
I think it's fun. We
as a community, we all have a part to play.
We all share in the world of feet.
We do share in the world of feet. I love it.
It's great.
So, Sarah, I have a question for you. So, it's incredible in life how certain things happen that take your life and put you in a different direction. Because you were in Miami, you went to Barry University, you matched to Hoboken. Who would have ever thought that you'd be practicing there down the road after doing residency, doing a fellowship, and coming back? Can you talk about your journey a little bit about Miami, and then when you went to residency, and then let's spend a little bit of time talking about fellowships too, because that's a hot ticket right now.
Absolutely. I was with you at Barry. I was in APMSA. I was president of APMSA. I did all the fun things. I checked all the boxes. And I'll be honest, I matched with Hoboken, and Hoboken wasn't my first choice. I thought I was going to stay in Miami. I had a house down there. I was living a pretty good life. And then I matched in Hoboken, and it was honestly the best turn of events for my life. At that point, it was a huge trauma center. So I did a ton of trauma. And I don't even think I knew that I needed that or wanted that. So I think Hoboken opened my eyes to a different version of me that would have been, if I stayed in Miami, I would have probably been a different surgeon, a different person, which is kind of crazy that it is little steps. Hoboken was amazing.
So what point did you say to yourself, I think I'm going to get further training and do a fellowship?
So that was, I think, the biggest thing is I came out of training, and I remember being in my second year, and Thomas Azzolini was my residency director, and he's like my dad, right? I respect him so much, and I learned so much from that man. And he came out and he was like, Sarah, you don't need a fellowship. You have amazing training. You're very, very well prepared. And that was the best thing to hear. It's amazing to hear that from your residency director. And you're like, wow, that feels great. But I knew in my mind that I wanted more. And I know I wanted to hone my skills, and I know what I wanted to do specifically after getting that residency training. I had the global picture of, I call it podiatric potpourri. I had a little bit of everything, but I know what I really wanted to focus on. I really liked, I guess, secondary reconstruction. I really like that's like doing something where it wasn't quite right the first time, and I get to do it over for somebody and make it perfect for them. I like that kind of work, especially like that reconstructive portion. So I really wanted to focus on forefoot, which was with Weil, and then Dr. Sorensen was there, and he was from Ohio. So he did Burlette and Philbin. So I got all that hindfoot reconstruction as well, which was a beautiful experience.
And that was a 1-year opportunity.
So I brought that back to Hoboken. It was a 1-year opportunity. And it was, I think you go to fellowship, and you go to fellowship not to complete something that you didn't get in residency. You go to hone a skill, and you go to, there's different fellowships, and there are different fellowships that do different things. There's different focuses. If you really like forefoot, don't go to a trauma reconstruction program, right? It's just not, it's going to get you a fellowship, but that's not why you're going. You're going for the wrong reasons. Make sure you go and you're focusing on the things that you love and that you're passionate about, and you want to get, it's like you're whittling your sword. You know what I mean? You're getting more effective in the OR. You're making better decisions. You're having a better patient management plan. I think it made all the difference for me, and it really helped me out.
That's great. Joe, your thoughts on residency? Fellowship following residency.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, Sarah. This idea of honing a skill, like you pick a fellowship with intention, not as a default. Oh, I need one more year of training, and I think that that's a really valuable thing. And one thing that we'll find for students as they're trying to kind of figure out how they want this to look like is, now you interview for fellowship so much earlier. It's hard for them to know sometimes in their first or second year where they want to focus some of that intention. What advice would you give someone in their first, well, we'll stick with first year because you don't know much yet. How would you start kind of mapping that out?
This is going to sound like I'm a sociopath, but as a first year in Hoboken, I'd already heard the word fellowship, right? And I'm like, if I can get any extra training, I want that. Just because I feel like you can't ever be overeducated, right? Nobody can take education away from you. It's the one thing that you have forever with you. So I started asking my attendings at Hoboken. I'm like, hey, what do you know about fellowship? Who do we know? I went to big name hospitals in the city, and I would message them and message their fellow and be like, hi, I'm a podiatry resident. I would like to come and shadow you for a day, and I would like to see what a fellow looks like. And like, that was the wording that I used, which seems ChatGPT could probably outdo me for sure. But they still let me shadow. And there's a lot of local programs around the Northeast, which I was able to go to for the day and see. Like Bridget had a fellowship, Dobbs had a fellowship. I had tons of people to see around this area. And then that's when my second and third year, I started going to more and more conferences, meeting people and making sure I introduce myself, talking to their fellows, most importantly, not even to the attending, just like, what kind of cases are you doing? What kind of caseload do you do? What kind of research do you do? And just figuring out, I guess, what their day looks like and what I wanted my day to kind of reflect after learning about that. That makes sense?
That. Yeah, totally.
So Sarah, you've got 15 residents right now at Hoboken, right? And they've changed the name. And we talked to Dr. Del Monte earlier, and he's great. What percentage of your residents do you think are looking at fellowships? And are you guiding them?
I think that's a yes and yes. Some of them are. And I think I had a conversation with one just on Wednesday when I was running clinic with them. And I'm like, it was about another student from a different program. And they were like, they're looking for residence or for fellowship for possibly the wrong reason, in the sense that like they didn't get the greatest training that they got at residency where they are. And I educated them like, you want to take a year, maybe like join a hospital. You want to, join a group and actually learn how to do some of those baseline cases before you go for a fellowship. You want to do fellowship to really focus on your training. And I talk to the residents now, like, if you're interested, you spread your wings, make sure you have CME money. I know it's more glamorous and more fun to go to the conference and hang out with your friends. But if you're going to go, make sure you take the time. And if you're, shaking hands with people, make sure you're asking questions. Hi, what did you get out of fellowship? Going to the hub for FACFAS and talking to the people that have done fellowships. That's really important. Like Jeetan Singha, he's part of the hub. He's very much about education and early onset education, especially around fellowships. I encourage all of my residents, if you want to pursue fellowship, 100%. It was the best decision of my life. Maybe not my life, that might be stress, but it was a great decision. It was a great decision.
So when you were done with fellowship, then Sarah, you had your surgical training, you had your skills, you honed that area that you wanted to be great at. How'd you get back to Hoboken?
I knew I wanted to come back. I reached out to Dr. Azzolini and I told him I got all the training. I did all the steps. I want to take over the Hoboken clinic, which was our clinic. It's our surgical clinic. And it's one of those, we see 20 to 30 patients on a clip on a day, and they're all surgical. And it was an amazing clinic. And I remember being a resident and being like, it'd be so cool to give back and be able to do surgery for a person. Doesn't matter if they have insurance, doesn't matter anything. And you just treat them how you should. And I loved that about that clinic. And I wanted to come back and give back. And he said yes. And that's how I got there.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
It's amazing.
So then how did you become the assistant? I'm sorry, Joe, I'm hogging the questions here. How'd you become the assistant director at the residency program? Because that's just an outstanding opportunity also.
It was a slow progression. I worked with Dr. Azzolini, and then Dr. Sheetal Sharma was also my senior resident when she was my, she graduated the year that I came in. So she was my chief resident. And she had taken over the assistant residency, and then Dr. Azzolini, he stepped down, and that's when Sheetal stepped in, and I transitioned up, which was kind of wild.
There you go. Well, that's fabulous. So Joe, your thoughts on transitioning and all that? We've all done it, right?
And that learning curve of being an attending, because that's definitely a whole different kind of ball game. Can you talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you, Sarah?
Oof. I was in a case earlier. It was an interesting case because it was a young girl. She's 26. Somebody had done a scope on her ankle, and unfortunately, they had cut part of her tendon, specifically the EDL. And it'd been like that for 2 years. And I told you, these are my favorite kind of cases, right? So I got to go in there today. I knew it was torn. I got to go find the stumps and reanastomose them together. And I'm working with residents, and it's so much fun for me. It's hard to sometimes, like, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just, you know what I mean? But it's so much fun to see them like formulate the process of what's going to happen next. I'm like, what would you do? How would you find it? What would you do next? And it's cool to see their thought process and how they grow, especially over the first couple of years when they're really developing. It's a beautiful thing because you see how like the process, when you talk to them the night before and you're going through the case and they're like, I don't know what I would do here. I'm like, you do. Let's just work through it together. And it's so neat to develop that.
Yeah, asking those kind of probing questions to help pull that out of them and engage them in the thinking part, not just the execution part, is something that just it's a skill, and it's a skill that not everybody has mastered. And it's always interesting to provide that feedback for them. So that would be my next question for you. When you're working with residents, we know how important the opportunity for reflection and feedback is to learning, especially a skill. How do you give feedback?
Like, and I think this resident, he's going to watch this and he's going to know I'm talking about him. I was working with him today and he's like, man, I really need to work on deep sutures. And, you know, like I usually help suture throughout the entire process. So I help take out my stitches and I'm like, let's go through it again. Let's just practice one more time. And it's important to like, you're teaching them how to flip their hand, to flip the skin. And it takes a little bit of extra time. And like my anesthesiologist, he's like, Sarah, you said an hour and 15. And I'm like, I did, but we're helping you know what I mean? So you kind of have to balance. You make jokes in the OR and like, everybody's getting what they came for. She's getting what she came for. This kid who's here for the training, he's not just there to dictate. He's not just there to do my chart. He's there to learn something, hopefully from me and from that patient, so he can hopefully transition that onto one of his patients in the future. So it just takes a little bit of extra time. So, you know, like I think my residents are very, engaged. I encourage open communication throughout the entire case. And I'm like, if you feel uncomfortable, great, let's walk through it together. He didn't know how to whip stitch. Okay, great. Let me show you how to do it. And then you do one. That's how I was taught. That's how I believe we should be taught, my opinion.
And I think that verbal communication, helping them feel comfortable. What do you feel you need to work on? Not so that I can sit here and yell at you or tell you how bad you are, but so that we can have intentional practice around getting you better. And if residents don't feel comfortable even identifying maybe where they're needing a little bit of assistance, then it gets even more intimidating to try to talk about it. So I love that. I think that that's a really neat thing that your program kind of incorporates.
You know, training wasn't always like that for us. And I don't want to talk about like bad training. I had great training, but like I had some attendings that were a little rough around the edges, and it wasn't mindful and it wasn't thought provoking. And I remember like leaving those cases being really like frustrated with myself, be like, if I am really bad, I want someone to tell me, how do I get better? You know what I mean? Like, that it's just not helpful. So I figure like anything I can do to reflect on my own, you know, experiences and make it better for the next generation, why the heck not?
Yeah, no, and I think that's also a really important point, is not every faculty member will teach the same. And that's not bad. That gives residents a really nice kind of broad, generalized training. But when you find a faculty member that you feel more comfortable with, those are the ones to have, and maybe that's good advice, is think about where you feel, I really need to work on deep suturing, or I never felt comfortable with this one stitch. Can we work on that? Having those discussions, because you may not know what they need from you, and they may not always know what to ask for. But if a resident can come in with a little insight of like, these are the things that I've never done, or I'm really interested, can you help me with these key things? That learning experience will be so much different than just showing up and being quiet and just like doing what you get handed. So yeah, I appreciate that very much, actually. Not a question I had planned, Jeff, in terms of things to talk about, but in teaching skills versus teaching in a classroom, skills are so different. And that feedback needs to be repetitive. It needs to be right in the moment for people to really get better and better at something. So I appreciate that conversation, Sarah. So
Me too. I feel like it's like one of those things that no one really like, like teaching was such like a methodical, like you learn from a book, this is what you do, and this is how it's executed. But it's like, it's not really like that. Every case is very different. And you have to, like, sometimes you're nervous going in and like you're working with a new attending, like you have to like figure out what they're like and like, do they like talking? Is it, I don't know, but you have to figure out like the attendings that you're working with. You figure it out along the way.
Definitely.
But you latch on to your certainly. I latched on to Azzolini and Sullivan, and they were like my best mentors.
I love that. We talk a lot about mentors. Jeff, back to you.
So you talked about giving back. So I wanted to do a quick shout out to our sponsor, Bako Diagnostics. They've been giving back to our profession for many, many years. We all know that early detection is the most important determination in improving patient outcomes. Bako Diagnostics remains committed to supporting you in your role as the first line of defense in diagnosing lower extremity pathologies. Bako Diagnostics, helping podiatric physicians keep America on its feet. Sarah, you probably remember the Bako labs back in the day, and they're still coming to the university. They came to our college, and what was it, Joe? It was in the middle of August, in the middle of the heat, and put on just a phenomenal biopsy workshop and things. So we love to shout out Bako.
Absolutely. I mean, I use them every day.
Oh, well, there you go. Let's talk about Bako then. You use them every day. I do biopsies, and they were really part, like Agnes, which I used to put together for Barry. They supported us every year. So it resonates with me, right? Like I remember being a student, they helped me then. And I use them in my everyday practice. Oh my gosh, Joe, you had the same experience.
Yeah. And I use them today too. It's funny. It's just the way there is never a shortage of things to make use of a really good dermatopathology lab. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Sarah, I was going to shift gears a little bit and talk about our profession. Obviously with your position, and my feet are killing me, you're very public. What are your thoughts about the recruitment issues that we're having within the profession? What do we do to turn this around to show prospective students that this is just a phenomenal profession to be part of?
This is an ongoing conversation. And I feel like I've had this conversation with multiple different, subsets of our specialty. I'm not baffled, but it's one of those things where I'm like, why don't people want to join the field of podiatry? It's an amazing field. I really, really, I can't say enough good things. But I think it starts at a different learning level. I really think we need to get in with our high schoolers before they're going into college and making those big decisions for their life, and just making it apparent that like this is a profession that has a ton of opportunity for you. And I think that starts at being more involved in sports and athletics. And that's how I try to get involved with the younger generation. And I think that if we started to do more table talks at like when they have like career day at high schools, I think that might be a great way to get involved at an early age.
No, that's well said. And what you're talking about is public awareness and branding of a wonderful profession. Because as you know, Sarah and Joe, you go to a college and you meet with a bunch of students and you buy them pizza, and if you have to educate them about what podiatry is, and then you try to recruit them at the same time, that's not the best equation. It'd be great if they came to the event saying, "Oh my gosh, I know all about podiatry. I know 3 podiatrists. My parents have a podiatrist. I have a podiatrist."
Right.
But that's not the case right now. So that branding effort for public awareness, I think, is going to be crucial.
It is. And I was being part of APMSA so young, many, many moons ago. We tried to make it, I remember doing a campaign, and it's not that they don't want to learn. It's not that the public doesn't want to know. I feel like they have so much other stuff going on, and APMA just needs to create, whether blast posts, social media, whatever it might be. They need to get across to the public eye that like it's a great profession. It's a great way to be involved in everyday healthcare, and you're part of a conglomerate team taking care of patients.
Well said. Other professions have done that. I mean, nursing's done it. Optometry's done it very successfully. I think podiatry's next, because I think all the stakeholders in our profession, whether it's the colleges, whether it's the board certification groups, all of us, APMA, all of us have a vested interest in promoting and bringing in the best students into our profession possible to be the best care providers for the foot and ankle in the country. So I agree with you 100%.
We just hope. We hope it picks up.
Hope's not a great strategy, right? I mean, it's
well, I hope that somebody
happen.
does something. I mean, I'm trying on my side of like being in private practice. I'm like, I'm going to go out and be involved in all of this fun stuff. But I think it does take it's a team, it's a unity. Everybody needs to get together, like FACFAS, APMSA, and the board certification. They need to come together in a little room and figure out how we're all going to combine our heads together, not do independent arms. It's a cohesive unit.
Well, I'm going to do a shameless plug then for the Podiatry Foundation and Gene Pascarella. You know, the Podiatry Foundation was formed when Kent State was formed because it was the Ohio College of Podiatric Medicine, and they sold it to Kent State. So they developed this foundation. Well, that foundation right now, Sarah and Joe, you know this, they're really taking a lead on a branding campaign to elevate our profession at all levels. And it's not inexpensive, right? That's why we need all the stakeholders involved. So to your point, Sarah, everybody needs to be in the same room with a kind of a moderator, if you will, and all get on the same page and make it happen.
We all have the same goal. We just need to make it a realistic, it's a universal goal. It's not just a one-man show.
100%. Joe, any other questions for Sarah?
Yeah. So I want to know, Sarah, how did you find out about podiatry? How did you get involved?
So I was in college and I thought I wanted to be, I knew I wanted to be in medicine. I knew I wanted to take care of people. I knew I wanted to do surgery. I thought I wanted to be a GI surgeon. I thought appendectomies were the coolest thing in the world. And then my professor at the time, his name was Lou Wrigley. I wrote a ton of papers with him. He was a formal biologist, and we did a ton of animal studies. And so I was with him all the time studying fish and spiders and whatever else got me published. And he was like, you should follow my student. His name is Joseph Menn. He's a podiatrist in South Carolina. I'm like, what's podiatry? And I remember going to see, because this is South Carolina, there was not a ton of podiatrists. And I went to Myrtle Beach and he let me shadow him around for the week. And he set me up with all of his friends, all the different specialties. And I shadowed everybody that week. And podiatry was not only the nicest, they were just the nicest. Yeah. The GI surgeon, I'll never forget. He's like, I've been divorced 3 times. I'm on call again. I'm miserable. And I'm like, got it. So appendectomies are not for me. I was so upset. And I just remember being like in the dermatologist's office, and it was fun. I thought that was really cool, but it was just like not a big diversification. And Mohs surgery was amazing, but I wanted to be in the operating room. I knew that. So podiatry it was incredible. I like general orthopedics. I thought that was really incredible as well. I like the smaller bones. I was a ballerina, and I think it was more symbolic to me, truthfully.
Yeah.
It was
I love that.
Special.
Yeah. It checked all your boxes. It was
did.
One of those, like, it was one area, but had all of the different areas that you were really interested in. So
it was incredible.
So Sarah, that really highlights the need for shadowing and opportunities for students to see what we do in person.
It does. It very much does. And like COVID, I think changed a couple of things in the office, but I think that's, it is a restriction, but at the same time, like, I think making yourself open to people that want to come in and shadow you, I think that's imperative. I think it's a beautiful thing to help somebody along in their career, whether they choose to do podiatry or something else. We have friends all over the specialties, right? I would love to do the same thing that somebody did for me once.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. How about some rapid fire, Joe?
Oh, most definitely. Especially since she just talked about ballet.
Okay, go first.
All right. So we know that you did ballet when you were younger, but one of my favorite questions is, tell us about something that you had a passion for when you were younger that maybe you don't do anymore, or maybe you do still do. But maybe now you can talk about ballet, but then you have to talk about something else too.
Oof. Well, I thought I was going to be a ballerina. I thought I was going to be a rockette. It did not work out. I was not tall enough. I am 5'7". You need to be 5'9", which I'm very unfortunate. Joe, you could do it.
Yeah. I might be tall, but I am not coordinated enough to pull that off. So
you'd crush it. That was like my dream. I think if I couldn't have done that, I probably would have been a baker, which just sounds crazy. I love to bake. My mom instilled that in me very, very young, or gardening.
Oh, I love that.
I love both of those things.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. All right,
Jeff,
so
nice. It's refreshing.
Right?
Refreshing.
So Sarah, you're busy practice. We have talked about all that and the residents. What do you do to kick back and relax and recharge the battery?
Everyone's going to think this is not relaxing. I want to be on a plane going somewhere. I like to leave clinic on Friday around 8 p.m., jump on a plane, land somewhere, and go hiking somewhere, and then be back for Monday morning clinic.
Oh, I like that. So
you can
like
fly here, and we can go hiking, and then you can fly back home.
Yes, I love that. I like to be traveling. I like to be active. I like to be doing something or reading a book, which usually can happen on the plane.
So tell us about like a few of your little short weekend excursions. Where do you go?
This is going to sound ridiculous. I went to Portugal 2 weekends ago.
Good for you.
For 48 hours, and it was great. It wasn't a hiking trip. Our friends were there for 2 weeks. I'm like, I'll just go meet you for the weekend just to have a nice, great experience, because we didn't get to see them a ton during the summer. And that was a great experience. Portugal has a ton of hiking. They have something called Pico. It's a mountain. It's a 9-hour hike. It was pretty challenging, pretty fun.
Very cool.
All right. So many different things now that just popped in my head to ask about, but we'll stick with, you had mentioned books. So what's been 1 or 2 books that have been really influential in your life?
So this is going to sound like not even really a good book. It's not like one of those ones that you take home and you're like, oh, this is a, award-winning book. It's called The Girl Who Owned a City. I read it when I was really little, and it shows a woman or a young girl who, it sounds depressing, but there's like I don't even know, like a plague, something that takes out all of the adults, and the kids have to learn how to rule this world. So it shows this woman being like super afraid, and, she's not sure what she's going to do. She has to like batten down her parents' house and like live and figure out how to find food. And she does it. And she creates an entire community around herself and forges forward and starts to lead this like community. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing book. Why that stands out to me, I have no idea. But I loved it as a kid, and I still think about that as a grown adult, which is wild. But that's not a great book. Don't read it. It's probably terrible. But like, that's what I remember in my mind. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah. But I could see that, right? Because it's all the principles of leadership, learning how to do things on your, like, of course, I'm going to find all of the different crossovers and why this is important to you. No, I could totally see that as an impactful book for you.
I know it's a wild thing to even say out loud, but it was very important to me as a kid. I have no idea why.
I love that.
That's great. So Sarah,
that being said, I don't know if I have a truly.
That one works. Yeah, no, that's great. That's what's fun about that question. There isn't a right answer. It's like what was impactful to you. So
it's true.
Sarah, we always evolve into music tastes, particularly in the OR. How does that play out for you?
Oh. This is and nobody likes my music. Nobody likes my music. My husband hates my music. We went to residency together, and nobody likes being in the OR with me. I listen to country, and I love it. It's the Southern. I put it on, and the nurses, I do switch it. I promise you I do. I listen to Odessa. I listen to normal music. But it's a nice way. I think it's nice. It doesn't offend anybody. Everybody's happy. And they usually sing about dogs. So like, what's wrong with that?
There you go.
It's a great way to start. What do you guys listen to?
Oh, so people don't usually like my music because I'm more of indie rock. So people don't know my music. It's not, they don't mind it, but they just don't know who it. So my OR actually literally wrote down Spoon Radio on Spotify or something. And it was a great pick. So I love Spoon.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's probably one of my favorite bands, actually.
Oh, that's so wild.
Yeah.
Long story, but lots of talking.
Right?
It's been a while, Sarah, because I've been in academics, but I like Paul Simon, Steve Miller Band, old classic stuff, just calm and relaxing.
Yeah. Everybody's different. It's just cool to see what everyone else listens to.
Yeah. And then I would give the residents, their choice too. And that sometimes that would go well and sometimes not.
I've learned that lesson too.
Yeah. They don't get it in my own work. Nope.
Sarah, this has been phenomenal. One of the amazing things about these interviews is you think they're going to, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about for 45 minutes? Next thing you know, it's done, right? So thank you for your time. And
thank you guys. I appreciate being invited on.
Oh, you're so welcome. Joe, any last questions or thoughts?
No, but thank you. And actually, it's funny, all the little sideways things, Jeff, that you get to interact with people. We had tried to connect Sarah probably about a year ago and call, and there was all these things. And then I got to meet you at FACFAS. And now, Jeff, I'm going to shamelessly plug, PICA is doing these kind of regional committees. And so there's a chances now I get to hang out with Sarah. She's not in my region, but I'm going to make excuses to like, hey, we should like cross pollinate different regions.
Yes.
So
yes.
Any excuses to hang out.
Well, I've been seeing the PICA riskology events online. And Sarah, you've been involved in that, right?
I have. I mean, PICA has been fantastic. And like, they're really good about early education and like really branching out, especially talking to new young students that would like to be involved in podiatry.
Well, like Baco, PICA has given back to our profession for decades. They're unbelievable. Shout out to Luke Ciccinelli and Becky Sargent and the team at PICA. They're fabulous.
Becky crushes it. I went to New York School the other day, and we actually spoke there about like being prepared in residency, how to, documentation, how important that is. And it's so like, it's not a glamorous topic, but I think PICA tries to do their best to make it entertaining, make it valuable so they can really take something home with that.
Yeah.
Nothing that is required and redundant is overly glamorous, but it has to be done, right?
It does.
All right. Sounds good. Well, shout out to PICA for sure. All right. Well, Sarah, thanks again. And we're going to send you a Dean's Chat mug so you can get your day started the Dean's Chat way. There you go.
I love that. That's going to go great on my little desk over here. We'll place the polka dots. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inviting me on. It's so great to, it's just nice to see you both.
Absolutely. Great to connect again. And to all of our listeners out there, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating, or even better yet, leave a comment or two. And if you're watching on YouTube, by all means, become a subscriber. Joe and I will continue to bring the leaders in our profession, whether they're students, residents, practitioners, or stars.
Celebrities.
There you go, Sarah. All right. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great week.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.